All right, picture this. An employee who works 24/7, never sleeps, never asks for a raise, and they can manage your emails, update your docs, even talk to your customers. That's the super tempting promise of these new AI tools, like Clawdbot. And honestly, it really feels like a productivity revolution is right at our fingertips. And yeah, that's the word you hear over and over again. Magical. This isn't just, another app on your phone. It feels like you've suddenly been handed a superpower, a way to finally get a handle on all that work you can never seem to get to. But, and this is a big but, as we're about to find out, behind all that magic, there's a pretty hard truth hiding. So what really makes this different from, say, a simple chatbot? Well, it all comes down to that word, agent. See, an AI agent doesn't just sit there and answer questions. No, it can actually plan a series of actions, go out and do them across different apps, see what happens, and then, this is the crazy part, adjust its plan on the fly. It's not just a tool you're using, it's more like a digital actor playing a role inside your systems. Okay, so what can this 24/7 digital teammate actually do? Let's dig into the specific things that have got everybody so excited. Now, the real power here, it's not just doing one of these things. The magic is in chaining them all together. Just think about this for a second. The agent reads an email from a new prospect. It then updates the record in your CRM, drafts a perfect reply, schedules a follow-up in your calendar, and then wraps it all up in a neat little summary for you. And it does all of this while you're sleeping. I mean, the potential for efficiency and scale here is it's massive. But here's the turn. This is the question we absolutely have to ask ourselves. What happens when this magical, tireless employee gets something wrong? Because when it does, you are going to find out, and find out fast, that there's often no real undo button. Okay, and this brings us to the biggest psychological trap with these tools. They give you this powerful, powerful illusion of control, right? You give the instructions, so you feel like, hey, I'm in charge here. But that is not what's really happening under the hood at all. And this comparison just perfectly illustrates that gap between what you think is happening and what's really happening. You think you're giving a clear, precise command, but in reality, you've just handed a kind of vague brief to a super creative, incredibly fast, and completely unsupervised intern. And then you walked out of the building. So why aren't you really in charge? Well, a couple of big reasons. First, it's operating in the background, way faster than any human could possibly follow. And second, its reasoning is basically a black box. You can't see the hundreds of tiny little micro decisions it's making along the way. So you're not steering the ship in real time. You're just showing up later to investigate the wreckage. Okay, so let's move from the theoretical to the very, very real. Let's talk about the kind of irreversible fallout that happens when things go wrong, the kind of mistakes you can't just fix with a click. First up, your reputation. Just imagine your agent completely misreads the tone of an angry customer and fires back with a reply that's, well, offensive, or maybe just plain weird. Sure, you can delete the message, you can send an apology, but you can't delete the screenshot that's already making the rounds. You can't undo the bad impression it made. Trust is broken, and that's not something you can just roll back in a database. All right, next up, your money and your operations. What happens if you connect an agent to your ad platforms and it misinterprets some data? It could dump your entire weekly ad budget into the wrong campaign in just a few hours. And once that money is spent, it's gone. There's no undo button that gets you a refund. Undoing that mistake means painful damage control, dealing with angry customers, and just straight-up financial loss. And risk number 3, your data and your files. What if the agent decides to be helpful and clean up your customer database, but it ends up overwriting thousands of correct records by mistake? Or it helpfully deletes what it thinks are duplicate files, but they're actually critical assets? Suddenly, your ability to recover hinges entirely on having perfect, up-to-the-minute backups. And let's be honest, how many of us have that for every single system? But wait, there's another kind of irreversible damage, and this one is totally invisible, right up until you get the bill. You see, every single time your agent thinks or takes an action, it's often making calls to these expensive AI models in the background, and those calls cost money. So what happens if that agent gets stuck in a loop, trying the same failed action over and over and over again? It can quietly rack up a massive API bill in the background. And there is no undo for that. You can't just call up your cloud provider and say, hey, sorry, my AI intern was having a bad day, can I get a refund? Nope. The only evidence that failure ever even happened is the bill you now have to pay. Okay, I know, this all sounds pretty terrifying. But look, the point isn't to just throw these tools away and run for the hills. It just means we have to be smarter about how we use them. We have to design for failure right from the start. We have to build our own safety rails. And I absolutely love this analogy. You don't buy a car with airbags because you plan on crashing. You buy them because you understand that even the best drivers run into chaos sometimes. Building safeguards for your AI isn't a sign that you don't trust it. It's a sign of maturity. It's the exact same principle. So here it is, a 5-step playbook for building those safety rails. 1, start with least privilege. That means you only give the agent the absolute minimum access it needs to do its job and nothing more. 2, require a human in the loop for anything important. 3, test everything in a safe sandbox environment first. 4, log everything. I mean everything. And 5, set hard cost guardrails so you never ever get one of those surprise bills. Let's just zero in on that human in the loop rule for a second because it is so critical. All it means is that the agent does the grunt work, but a human makes the final call. The agent drafts the emails, but you send them. The agent proposes the budget changes, but you approve them. The agent plans the big data edit, but you are the one who hits execute. It's a tiny bit of friction, but it buys you a massive amount of safety. All right, so as we start to wrap this up, it really all boils down to one thing: adopting the right mindset. And this isn't about being a pessimist, not at all. It's about being a responsible realist. And that mindset has a great name: structured skepticism. It's really the perfect balance, right? You're not blindly trusting this magical new thing, but you're also not totally rejecting its incredible potential. You're diving in, you're exploring, but you're doing it with your eyes wide open to the risks. And this, right here, is probably the most important takeaway of all. The more magical the assistant feels, the more responsibility you have to design for the moment that magic inevitably breaks. The more power it gives you, the more carefully you have to think about how that power could backfire. So here's the final message. Absolutely adopt these tools. Explore the possibilities. Experiment. But whatever you do, don't outsource your skepticism. Don't let the wow factor lull you into a false sense of security. And all of this leaves us with one final, really crucial question we all need to ask ourselves. It's not if your AI agent will go wrong, but when. And so the real question isn't, is this tool too good to be true? The real question is, have I already built a way to survive the day it goes wrong?